when it comes to whether or not someone should be in our life. Whether or not He intended for them to be a part of our life. Isn't the reverse true too? I mean, if there are people there that can corrupt our character, that can tempt us or lead us to do bad things, isn't the reverse true too? Aren't there going to be people that God will bring in our life that is our opportunity to thrive? Let me go back to, don't put it up, Kat, but think about that pic again. What if our first impression of that picture is limited or even wrong? What if we look at that picture and we think, oh great, look at that awesome horse saving that dog? But I want to challenge you. What if God brought that dog into the horse's life so the horse could serve the purpose God created for him? You see how narrow-minded we are sometimes when we consider the people and the purposes and the intent and how we interact with people? Because I don't know about you. I'm just going to be totally honest with you this morning. I don't know about you. I too often don't really sit down and ask myself that important question. Why is this person in my life? Are they there to help me out of the circumstances that I'm in? Or is helping them an opportunity for me to serve the very purpose God created for me? And you do understand there's not one canned, separate answer for each situation. This is going to be a lifelong thing, isn't it? As people come into our life and people exit our life, as circumstances happen, or as we experience good times and have a tendency to get a little bit lazy. I got to be truthful with you. While I did not like certain parts of the pandemic, because there were nights that Mark, guys never see Mark or Bill because they're always up there doing the video stuff. We'd be dead in the water without them. Probably 80% of our church is online. So don't get me wrong, online group. I love you guys. I'm just saying, maybe you need to be thinking about God wanting you to physically interact with people occasionally. Why are the people in our life that God allows to be in our life? Is it just bad company? And so I want to do something here this morning, and I apologize in advance for reading, but as I was considering this whole talk with you guys this morning, I remember a message that a pastor did over a decade ago. I've mentioned him from time to time because he's a West Virginia guy, but he's now in Texas at one of the largest churches in the U.S., and size is not always that important. It's who you're with. But T.D. Jakes did a message over a decade ago, and as I thought about my talk with you this morning, I'm like, I just can't do it any better than that. So I'm gonna tell you some things. I'm gonna read you some things from a message that T.D. gave over a decade ago, because here's the premise of that. It was an amazing message, and here's the premise of it. He gave this talk to his congregation and said, when you look at the people in your life, when you consider who they are and why they're there, you're going to find that for all intents and purposes, God will bring 3 types of people in your life. And you need to be looking at what type of person they are, so that you can determine how you're going to interact with them. And so he says this, I'm going to tell you about 3 basic types of people that you will interact with if you are a child of destiny. He says the first one is this. The first group are confidants. Confidants, you will find very few of them in your life. Confidants are those people that are in your life who will love you unconditionally. Anybody want somebody like that? I don't know about you, I get tired of being judged. I get tired of having every little thing I do and word I say get viewed through a microscope. Come on, amen me. Somebody online, agree with me, please, this morning. Confidants don't do that. They're into you. Whether you're up or down, right or wrong, they're into you. They're there for you for the long haul. If you get in trouble, they get in trouble with you. They'll come see you in the jailhouse. They'll come get you out of the crack house. They're your confidants, and you can open up and share anything with them. The problem with most people is that everybody they run around with is under them. And so you are forever feeding people who can't feed you. And after years of feeding them, then they begin to drain you, and you've got to have someone who can feed you so you can feed someone else. Those people are going to be your confidants. See, because they're not into anything else but you. They're there for you. They're the ones that don't want to see you drained and beaten down and talked bad about and looked bad at. They're the ones that aren't going to judge you based on making a mistake or even sinning. They're there for you. Every single one of us needs a handful of confidants. And T.D. Jakes, if you go listen to his entire message, he talks about the fact that there's only going to be a handful. He says this, if you actually have 2 or 3 lifelong confidants, you're a blessed person. You need them. You need them. Confidants are for you. But then he goes on. He says the next type of person he calls constituents. They're not into you. They are for what you are for. They're for what you are for, and you have to know that, because if you meet someone else, if they meet someone else that will further their agenda, they will leave you and hook up with them. Because they were never for you. They were for what you are for. Now, don't look at anybody in here, but have you ever had someone in your life like that? They're the ones that are quick to talk about you when they don't like what you're doing, right? But man, when you're heading the direction they're heading, they're all about heading that direction with you. But can you see how easy it is to mistake their willingness to go after what you're for with you for actually being for you? Throughout your life, and if you're not careful, particularly if you're broken, you will mistake your constituents for your confidants. And you will think they are for you when they're really not for you. They're just for what you are about. And by the time you get to falling in love with them, they will break your heart as they hook up with somebody else who is for what they're for, because it was never about you anyway. It was about the causes that you represent. They are your constituents. Can you see the difference between a confidant and a constituent? And listen, before I go on to this last person, let me just share. When T.D. Jakes, when he taught this, he's not saying you shouldn't have a constituent in your life. You need constituents in your life. God will use people in your life to help you achieve what you should be for. He's not saying don't have any constituents, but doggone it, if you think a constituent is a confidant, you're going to get your heart broken. Amen? They're there for a purpose. They're there to help come along and give you a pair of hands to do something that you're supposed to do. But please, please, please don't mistake them for someone you should share your dream with. Because they may just take your dream and find someone else more capable than you and go accomplish it with them. They're not for you. They're for what you're for. But then T.D. went on and he said there's a third type of person, and he listed this third type of person as comrades. They're comrades. These people are not for you, nor are they for what you are for. It's just that they are against what you are against. I mean, we talked about this in our small group, right, Scott, on Wednesday night. We had a really good, see, we can have a discussion on Wednesday night. You want to know what good small groups are? Small groups are good because you can't have much of a discussion with me this morning, right? Amen? At group, we get into a discussion, don't we? We start breaking this down. Why? How? Who? We had an awesome time Wednesday night. Comrades, they're not for you. They're not even for what you're for. They're against what you're against. And one of the individuals in our group on Wednesday night said, yeah, the enemy of my enemy is my... Until you no longer share the same enemy. They will team up with you and they will fight a greater enemy. But don't be confused by their associations. They will only be with you until the victory is accomplished. These people are like scaffolding. I like this, being a builder. They will come into your life to fulfill a purpose. And when that purpose is complete, the scaffolding is removed. But don't be upset when they are removed, because the building always remains when the scaffolding is removed. God's intent for you is to remain. You will remain. That's Jesus' plan and purpose for your life. But boy, if you think that scaffolding was supposed to be there for the rest of your life, guess what happens when it comes down? What I'm saying to you, brothers and sisters, accept the constituents and the comrades. Expect them